Have you noticed your hands feel colder, your energy fades faster, or your body just doesn't respond the way it used to? Many men over 50 assume this is simply aging. But what if your circulation is quietly struggling every single day? I'm a board-certified urologist. I've spent decades helping men restore performance, stamina, and confidence. There's one hydration mistake I see constantly, even among health-conscious men, and it directly affects blood flow. Tell me where you're watching from, and if this topic matters to you, consider subscribing. But here's what most people don't realize. Drinking more water does not always mean your body is better hydrated, especially after 50. Water is life, yes. Every organ, every cell, every drop of blood depends on it. Yet many men tell me the same confusing story. Doctor, I drink water all day, but I still feel tired. My head feels foggy. My energy fades too quickly. If that sounds familiar, you are not imagining things. Hydration changes as your body changes. When we are younger, the system is forgiving. The gut absorbs minerals efficiently. The kidneys adjust fluid balance smoothly. The cells hold on to water easily. But as the decades pass, subtle shifts occur. Absorption slows. Regulation becomes less precise. What once worked automatically now requires a bit more support. Plain water by itself may no longer deliver hydration the way it once did. There is one overlooked factor I discuss constantly with my patients: magnesium. Magnesium helps regulate blood vessel relaxation and fluid balance, not in a dramatic, flashy way, but in a steady, foundational way. Think of it as a quiet conductor behind the scenes, coordinating how fluids move, how vessels respond, how cells stay nourished. With age, mineral absorption becomes less efficient. Your digestive tract does not extract nutrients with the same ease it once did. Even men who eat reasonably well may slowly drift toward mild deficiencies. Not enough to trigger alarms, just enough to affect how the body feels. Energy becomes inconsistent. Muscles feel tighter, sleep becomes lighter, circulation feels less robust. At the same time, the kidneys, your body's filtration system, might begin to regulate fluids differently. This is not a disease process, it is physiology. The body becomes more cautious with water, yet paradoxically may eliminate it more quickly when electrolyte balance is off. You drink, you urinate, you drink again, and somehow you still feel thirsty. This is where electrolytes enter the picture. Electrolytes are minerals that help your cells manage fluid. Without them, water does not stay where it is needed. Cells require electrolytes to retain water. Without minerals, water passes through too quickly. Instead of deep hydration, you get a brief rinse. Many men unknowingly create an imbalance by drinking large amounts of plain water. It sounds healthy. It feels disciplined. But excessive plain water can dilute the very minerals that allow hydration to work. This dilution effect does not just influence thirst. It influences blood volume, circulation pressure, and how efficiently oxygen travels through your body. Blood volume stability depends on electrolyte presence. When minerals like magnesium are insufficient, fluid distribution becomes less stable. You may feel lightheaded when standing. Your hands may feel colder. Your stamina may drop sooner than expected. These are not random sensations. They are signals of subtle imbalance. Magnesium plays another critical role here. Vessel tone is influenced by magnesium-dependent mechanisms. Blood vessels aligned with smooth muscle that must constantly contract and relax. Magnesium supports this relaxation. Without enough of it, vessels tend toward tension rather than flexibility. Now think about the practical experiences many men describe. Frequent urination despite high water intake, persistent thirst, that strange washed-out feeling, not exactly sick, just drained, lightheadedness when rising from a chair. These are often dismissed as just aging, but very often they are related to hydration quality, not hydration quantity. I tell my patients this gently. It's not that you're doing something wrong, It's that your body now plays by slightly different rules. The strategy that worked at 30 may not work at 60. The solution is not necessarily more effort. It is better alignment with physiology. Your cells are not simply asking for water. They are asking for usable hydration. Water that stays inside the cells. Water that supports blood flow. Water that stabilizes pressure rather than diluting balance. When magnesium levels are adequate, water is handled differently. Cells retain fluid more effectively. Blood volume becomes more stable. Vessels respond with greater ease. Energy often feels steadier. Not because magnesium is a stimulant, but because it helps the body regulate itself more smoothly. And this is the part many men find surprising. You can be drinking enough water and still be functionally underhydrated. The body is receiving fluid, but not retaining it where it matters most. So if you have been pushing yourself to drink more and more water, yet still feel fatigued, foggy, or slightly off, your body may not be resisting hydration. It may be missing a key component that allows hydration to work properly. But hydration is only the beginning, because magnesium affects something even more critical for men over 50. But here's what most men never hear during routine checkups. Blood flow is not controlled only by cholesterol numbers or blood pressure readings. Those are important, yes. But there is another player quietly influencing how easily blood moves through your body. That player is magnesium. Magnesium supports blood vessel dilation and smooth muscle relaxation. This may sound technical, but the concept is actually very simple. Your blood vessels are not rigid pipes. They are living, dynamic structures lined with smooth muscle. These muscles constantly tighten and relax to regulate circulation. Every heartbeat depends on that flexibility. Now imagine those vessel walls becoming slightly tense, slightly resistant, slightly less willing to open, not blocked, not diseased, just stiff. Blood still flows, but less efficiently. Oxygen still arrives, but in smaller amounts. Over time, your body begins to feel the difference. Magnesium plays a key role in preventing that tension. It acts as a natural calcium regulator. Calcium is essential for muscle contraction, including the muscles in your blood vessels. But calcium's action must be balanced. Too much contraction without enough relaxation leads to excessive vessel constriction. Here's the elegant biology. Calcium tightens, magnesium relaxes. Your body is designed to use both in harmony. When magnesium levels are adequate, vessel muscles contract when needed and relax when appropriate. When magnesium is low, that balance shifts toward tightness. This does not usually create dramatic symptoms overnight. Instead, men describe subtle changes. Hands that feel colder than they used to, feet that seem slow to warm, a sense that physical response, whether during exercise or intimacy, feels delayed. Stamina that fades sooner, a mind that feels mentally tired even without heavy effort. These are classic signs of circulation that is functioning, but not thriving. Magnesium helps prevent excessive vessel constriction by moderating calcium's effect on smooth muscle. It also supports nitric oxide pathways. Nitric oxide is a molecule your body produces to signal blood vessels to relax. It is one of the most important regulators of vascular dilation. When magnesium status is healthy, nitric oxide signaling tends to be more efficient. Vessels respond more smoothly. Microcirculation, the tiny capillaries delivering oxygen to tissues, improves. This is where many men feel noticeable changes. Better warmth, clearer thinking, more consistent endurance. Better flow means better delivery. Oxygen, nutrients, hormones, everything your cells require to function optimally travels through your circulation. I often explain it this way to my patients. Blood flow is not just about avoiding heart attacks. It is about how alive your body feels day to day. It influences how quickly muscles recover, how steadily energy is produced, how reliably physical response occurs. And yes, this directly connects to men's health in ways that matter deeply, but are rarely discussed openly. Erectile quality depends on vascular function. An erection is fundamentally a blood flow event. The vessels must dilate, smooth muscle must relax, blood must fill and be retained. When vessels are stiff or overly constricted, response may weaken, slow, or become inconsistent. Many men assume this is purely hormonal or simply getting older, but vascular flexibility is often a major factor. Energy is also tied to oxygen delivery. If circulation is slightly compromised, your muscles and brain receive less oxygen per unit of effort. The result is fatigue that feels disproportionate. Tasks that once felt easy now feel draining. Muscle recovery is linked to circulation as well. Nutrients must reach tissues. Waste products must be removed. When flow is sluggish, soreness lingers longer. Endurance declines faster. I've seen men panic about aging when the real issue was simply vascular stiffness. That distinction matters. Aging is inevitable. Vascular rigidity, to a degree, is modifiable. Magnesium is not a miracle cure. It is a physiological necessity, a regulator, a stabilizer, a mineral your cardiovascular system relies on every second of every day. When levels are restored appropriately, men often report improvements that feel surprisingly broad. Warmer hands, better tolerance for exercise, more stable energy, calmer nerves, improved sleep, sometimes even a renewed sense of physical confidence. Not because magnesium boosts anything artificially, but because it allows normal mechanisms to function the way they were designed to. But this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because when men recognize circulation changes, they often try to fix blood flow in ways that actually worsen the imbalance. And this is where most men get it wrong, because they try to fix blood flow in ways that actually worsen the imbalance. Now here's the mistake most men over 50 make, even the disciplined ones who truly care about their health. They believe that if something feels off, energy dipping, circulation sluggish, body response slower, the solution must be more water, more coffee to push through fatigue, more effort. But sometimes more is exactly what deepens the problem. Let's start with something that surprises many of my patients: excessive plain water intake. Hydration is essential, but flooding the body with large amounts of mineral-free water can create what we call a dilutional electrolyte imbalance. In simple terms, you're washing out the very minerals that allow water to stay inside your cells and blood vessels. Men tell me, "Doctor, I drink water constantly." Yet they feel tired, lightheaded, even slightly weak. The issue isn't a lack of water, it's a lack of balance. Without magnesium, hydration and circulation cannot function optimally. Water needs minerals to be properly utilized. Then there's the second common habit: overuse of diuretics, especially coffee and alcohol. I'm not here to demonize your morning coffee or an occasional drink, but both caffeine and alcohol increase fluid and mineral loss through urine. If magnesium intake is already borderline, which is extremely common, this pattern accelerates depletion. The result is subtle but powerful. Cells struggle to retain water. Blood vessels become more reactive. Muscles lean toward tension rather than relaxation. Energy regulation becomes less stable. The third hidden mistake is the modern low-mineral diet. Even men who avoid junk food can fall into this trap. Processed foods are often stripped of minerals. Soil depletion affects nutrient density. Many diets emphasize calories, protein, and fat, but neglect magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, seeds, nuts, and mineral-rich water. Over years, this creates a slow drift, not dramatic deficiency, just enough to affect vascular tone, nerve stability, sleep quality, and muscle relaxation. And perhaps the most overlooked mistake of all, ignoring early deficiency signs. Your body whispers long before it shouts. Men frequently describe nighttime leg cramps, small muscle twitches, an eyelid that won't stop fluttering, restless, fragmented sleep, a sense of tension that feels physical, not just mental. These are classic low magnesium signals, yet they are often dismissed as stress or just getting older. I hear this phrase constantly. "I drink tons of water but still feel tired." That sentence tells me more than most lab reports. because hydration without adequate electrolytes often leads to exactly that experience, water moving through the system without truly restoring cellular function. Stress adds another layer to this story. Under stress, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol is not the enemy. It's a survival hormone, but chronically elevated cortisol increases magnesium loss through urine. The more stressed the system, the faster magnesium is depleted. Now consider the typical cycle many men live in: stressful days, interrupted sleep, extra coffee to compensate, more urination, more plain water, further mineral dilution. Over time, this loop quietly strains hydration efficiency and vascular regulation. Sleep loss also plays a major role. Poor sleep disrupts hormone balance, increases stress chemistry, and, again, contributes to mineral loss. This is why magnesium deficiency and sleep disturbance often travel together. Then we must consider medications. Many common prescriptions used after 50 can influence magnesium absorption or excretion. Certain diuretics, acid-reducing medications, and blood pressure drugs may contribute to lower magnesium levels. This is not a reason to avoid necessary treatment, but it is a reason to understand the full physiological picture. Biologically, the pattern is elegant and unforgiving. Magnesium loss through urine under stress, reduced absorption with age, increased loss with caffeine and alcohol, dilution with excessive plain water. The body gradually shifts toward muscle tension rather than relaxation. Blood vessels become more prone to constriction. Nerves fire more erratically. Sleep becomes lighter. Energy becomes less predictable. And yet from the outside, everything may appear normal. Blood tests may not show dramatic abnormalities. Blood pressure may be acceptable. Cholesterol may be controlled. But the man sitting in front of me still feels off, colder, tighter, more fatigued than he remembers being. This is why I approach this topic with my patients in a very specific way. No blame, just clarity, because these habits are not reckless. They are logical responses based on incomplete information. Drink more water, push through fatigue, follow general advice. The intention is good. The physiology simply requires a more refined strategy. When men understand this, something shifts. Confusion turns into recognition. Frustration softens into curiosity. And most importantly, control begins to return. Because once you see how these hidden mistakes interfere with magnesium balance, hydration quality, and blood vessel behavior, the next question becomes obvious. How do you correct this safely? How do you restore balance without extremes? Now here's what most doctors never explain: how to correct this safely and effectively. Now here's what most doctors rarely take the time to explain, not because it's unimportant, but because appointments are short and the details matter. Adding magnesium is simple, yes, but doing it the wrong way can lead to frustration, digestive discomfort, or the belief that it didn't work for me. And that's the last thing I want for you. Let's say the word clearly again, because precision matters. Magnesium. Proper magnesium intake improves hydration efficiency and vascular response. Not overnight, not dramatically, but in a steady physiological way that supports how your body already functions. The first and often easiest source is magnesium-rich mineral water. This is one of my favorite strategies for men over 50 because it combines hydration with electrolytes in a natural form. Instead of diluting your mineral balance, you are replenishing it as you drink. The body tends to handle this gently and efficiently. Then we have supplements, and here the form makes a difference. Magnesium glycinate is often well tolerated. It is known for being gentle on the stomach and is frequently associated with calming effects on the nervous system. Many men who struggle with tension, restless sleep, or nighttime overthinking find this form particularly comfortable. Magnesium citrate is another common option. It can be effective, but I offer gentle caution. Citrate draws water into the intestines, which may lead to loose stools in some individuals. For men dealing with constipation, this may actually be beneficial. For others, it can feel unpleasant if the dose is too high. Food sources also deserve attention, though they are often underestimated. Spinach, pumpkin seeds, almonds, legumes, these are naturally rich in magnesium. They do not deliver massive doses, but they contribute to a steady baseline intake that supports long-term balance. Now let's talk about timing, because this is where personalization enters. Many men benefit from taking magnesium in the evening. Magnesium participates in relaxation pathways involving the nervous system and muscles. Taken at night, it may support smoother transitions into sleep and reduce nighttime muscle tension. Others prefer morning use, especially if they notice daytime tension or stress reactivity. There is no universal rule. Your body's response is the guide. Taking magnesium with meals is often helpful. It can improve tolerance and reduce the likelihood of digestive discomfort. Again, we are working with physiology, not forcing it. Gradual dosing is one of the most important principles I share with my patients. More is not better. Starting low and adjusting slowly allows your body to adapt. It also helps you recognize how you personally respond. When magnesium intake is restored appropriately, men often describe changes that feel subtle yet meaningful. Better warmth in the hands and feet, improved stamina during walks or exercise, a calmer, less jittery nervous system, better sleep quality, a smoother sense of physical response. Notice the theme, not stimulation, regulation. I advise my patients to think of magnesium not as a stimulant, but as a regulator. It does not push the body. It helps the body release unnecessary tension. It supports balance between contraction and relaxation, between stress and recovery, between effort and restoration. Now, a brief but essential word about safety. Individual tolerance varies. Some men feel best with smaller doses, others require slightly more. Digestive sensitivity, medication use, and overall health all influence response. Men with kidney disease must be especially cautious. The kidneys regulate magnesium levels, and impaired function can alter how the mineral is handled. In these cases, medical supervision is essential. Medication interactions also deserve awareness. Certain drugs, including some antibiotics and osteoporosis medications, should not be taken at the same time as magnesium. Spacing doses is usually sufficient, but guidance matters. This is not about creating fear. It is about respecting your body's complexity. Because magnesium is not a casual addition. It is a physiological tool. Used wisely, it can support hydration quality, vascular flexibility, nerve stability, and sleep regulation. Used impulsively, it may lead to discomfort or disappointment. And this brings us to something even more important than magnesium itself, because before you rush to change anything, there's one final piece most men need to hear. But before we close, let's return to something deeply human. Remember what we touched on at the beginning, that quiet, nagging feeling your body isn't responding the way it once did, the colder hands, the energy that fades a bit sooner, the subtle frustration many men over 50 carry silently, rarely spoken, often internalized. Here is the reassuring truth I share with my patients every single day. Your body is not breaking down, it is adapting. Adaptation is not failure. It is biology responding to time, stress, environment, and changing needs. Circulation changes are very often functional rather than permanent. Hydration still matters. Blood vessels still respond. Your physiology still holds an extraordinary capacity to rebalance when given the right support. This is where perspective becomes powerful. Magnesium is not a miracle. It is a missing piece. A piece involved in vessel relaxation, cellular hydration, nerve stability, and energy regulation. Not flashy, not dramatic, foundational. When that missing piece is restored thoughtfully, small adjustments can create noticeable shifts. Energy that feels steadier instead of unpredictable. Hands and feet that feel warmer. Physical response that feels smoother, more reliable. Sleep that feels deeper, more restorative. Not because you are fighting aging, but because you are working with physiology. And that shift from worry to understanding, from fear to clarity, is often where real confidence begins to return. If this conversation helped you see your body in a new light, then you are exactly why I create these videos. This channel is a place where men over 50 can understand what's truly happening inside their bodies, calmly, clearly, and without unnecessary fear. If you'd like to stay informed and continue protecting your energy, circulation, sleep, and performance, consider subscribing and becoming part of this community. And I'd genuinely like to hear from you. Have you ever noticed subtle signs of poor circulation? In the next video, we'll explore another overlooked factor that quietly influences testosterone, vascular health, and restorative sleep.